children, it's Mrs. Lee here. It's assembly number 1 and it's the week beginning the 9th of September 2024. How are you? I hope that you are okay. Me? Well, thank you for asking. I'm okay too. Come, let's do the routine. What's the time, Mr. Wolf? Well, I can see that the yellow pencil, which is our longhand called that's right, the minute hand, is on the number 12. And I know that that means it's o'clock. Now I can see that the green pencil, which is the shorthand, which we call the hour hand, well done children, is on the 6. I put it all together and I get, that's right, 6 o'clock. Now, our language of the month. Ooh, we know this sign, it's the Makaton sign. Miss Reed would like us all to be signing using Makaton. I hope that you can sign with Makaton. Every week we have a different Makaton sign. Ooh, that's a tricky one. One we've had before though. Got to use 2 hands and the word is new. You sign new. Sign new. Why does Mrs. Lee want us to know how to use the Makaton sign for new? Well, there's lots of new things happening in our school, isn't there? All right, there are new children coming into our school. There's lots of new teachers, there's lots of new books, there's lots of new routines, lots of new rules to remember. How are you getting on with it? It's a bit tricky, isn't it, to remember everything? But if you look around the school, you can see lots of things that can help us. The golden rule signs are all out on display to help you. They're going to help the new children starting in reception who will be coming in this week, and we will see them around. I hope that you've got lots of empathy and you can remember when you were in reception and how everything was very new. So if you see one of our new children around the school and they look a bit confused, you think you can help them? Oh, great. Thank you so much. You'll get a number in the box, won't you? Now, this isn't something new, something you already know and hopefully you can remember. Do you remember these? We've got blue ones, we've got red ones, orange ones, green ones, yellow ones. We've got so many. These are our reading at home cards, where we ask you to read a book or to listen to a book if you're finding reading a bit of a challenge to start off with. And inside, there are lots of places for your grown-up to write the date, write the title of the book and sign it. Now, if you get down to this wow here, you have read 10 books or 10 times, or listened to a book 10 times if you're finding it a challenge to read. And then you can bring that in and Mrs. Lee will stamp it. Then you go home and you try to read another 10 books. And then you go on the back and you see if you can go for 20 books. All in all, to fill this blue card up, you need to read 10, 20, 30, 40. In fact, at the bottom it tells you, look, can you see it says 40 just there. If you've read 40 times, then we'll change this blue one and we're going to get you a red one. And it says card 2 on it and we start again. Now, I know a little boy who went through all these cards. And in fact, he got up to, that's right, card number 30. He read 2,000 books or 2,000 times. Now, some of you might be reading your blue book and you might read this with your grown-up. I think it's a really good idea when you're reading this with your grown-up to go through it one time and then go through it again and read it from the beginning again. And you will practice, 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 and it will help you. Some of you might like to read a picture book instead. Got lots of these picture books. I've just gone and grabbed one from the bookshelf where we sit when we eat our lunch, while we're waiting to eat our lunch, don't we? We can grab one of these picture books and have a little look through. Well, I know that these are in your classroom and you can take some of these home. So if you want to, take that one home And maybe it's your grown-up that reads to you first of all, and maybe you read a little bit back to them. But that book counts to one of these. You might be on chapter books already. Now, I've chosen this one. It's written by a man called Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl wrote lots and lots of books. Can you see a picture of him on there? There he is. He's sitting, I think, with his granddaughter. Now, unfortunately, Roald Dahl's not with us anymore, which is very sad, isn't it? But he did leave us lots and lots of different books. And sometimes he wrote things that are a little bit cheeky. And sometimes he wrote things that make us laugh. And sometimes he makes us a little bit sad for the things that he writes about. But he's a really good author. And I'm going to read you a tiny, tiny little bit from one of my favourite books, which is The Twits. Okay, are you ready? I need to see. Are you sitting down smartly? Okay, arms folded, hands in your laps. Use your good listening ears and your good looking eyes. There might be a picture in. So, I'm going to read to you about Mrs. Twit. Okay, and I've done this one before. Here is a picture of Mrs. Twit. She's not looking too pretty, is she, at the moment? Right, let's find out about Mrs. Twit and why she doesn't look too great. Mrs. Twit. Mrs. Twit was no better than her husband. She did not, of course, have a hairy face like he does. You see his hairy face. It was a pity she didn't know, because at any rate that would have hidden some of her fearful ugliness. Take a look at her. I wonder why she looks like this. Have you ever seen a woman with an uglier face than that? I doubt it. But the funny thing is, Mrs. Twit didn't always look like that. She had quite a nice face when she was growing up. Look at that lovely face that she had when she was growing up. The ugliness had grown upon her year by year as she got older. Now, why would that happen, children? I'll tell you why. If a person has ugly thoughts, it begins to show on their face. But when that person has ugly thoughts every day, every week, every year, the face gets uglier and uglier until it gets so ugly you can hardly bear to look at it. Oh. A person, though, who has good thoughts can never, ever be ugly. You can have a wonky nose. You can have a crooked mouth. You could have a double chin. Oh, Mrs. Lee's getting one of those at the moment. And sticky out teeth. But if you have good thoughts, they will shine out of your face like sunbeams, and you will always, forever, look lovely. Isn't that lovely? I think that's one of the loveliest opening chapters of Roald Dahl. I think it's a really, really lovely way to be. I am really hoping that as I walk around the school, I'm going to see lots of you having really good thoughts, using those 7 golden rules to help you to make everywhere in Hertford Infant and Preschool a happy and safe place. Then you're going to be very helpful towards one another, aren't you? And all the new children that are in our school will feel welcome, won't they? So let's see if you can do it. Oh, Mrs. Lee's got a funny eye. Can you smile? That's it. All right. And can you think, look at somebody in the classroom, could be your teacher, okay? Could be at me on the camera, all right? Or it could be the person sitting either side of you, and just have a nice thought about them. Makes you smile, doesn't it? Oh, super. I tell you what also makes us smile is when we see your cards coming in for the stamps, when you get to the wows, or if you bring the whole thing in all completed, that makes us smile. And that's great, isn't it? It gives Mrs. Lee another smile wrinkle. So I'm hoping that I'm going to see lots of you, here's a Makaton sign for you, reading. All right, now you can read at lunchtime. You can come down and sit outside the office if you want to. All right, if you do, you have to be quiet. I'm going to show you a picture of the books that we've got in the office. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Did you see? There's lots of books around our school. You can have a look at any of those books as long as you put them back after you finish reading them. So at lunchtime, you can sit and read. You can sit and read in the classroom. I know every classroom in our school has got a lovely reading area. You're so, so lucky. Can you point to it right now? See? How exciting is that? How lucky. So lots and lots of reading, because reading makes you, do you know? That's right, it makes you brainy. You can pick up a new book to read, or you can choose a book that you have already read. As you can see, Mrs. Lee has read this book lots and lots of times ago and a little bit battered. In fact, all the Roald Dahl books Mrs. Lee has, she's left in the research centre just for you so that you can read. Okay. Have a lovely, lovely week, children. Remember what Mrs. Lee said in our assembly number 1 last week. We were talking about how we can be on the field and keep everybody happy and safe by thinking about the golden rules and being helpful by staying near to the infant school. Do we go over to where the juniors are? We leave them alone, let them get on with it. Other things that are happening this week is International Charity Day. Now, we've got a big red box outside our school. Can you see it? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Need any more like clothes or books or games, and all that goes to school. It goes away, and some of the money goes to charity, and some of the money comes back to us so we can buy you nice things. So that's all about charity, and it's International Literacy Day coming up soon. Literacy Day is all about books, reading and writing. All right, so get busy reading. Okay, one last thing to do before we leave. We always finish with our school prayer, don't we? Now, you can put your hands together, you can fold your arms, you can put your hands in your laps, I don't mind, but you do need to say the words with me. Are you ready? Let's see if you can remember them. Help me to do the things I should, to be to others kind and good, in all my work and all my play, to grow more loving every day. Amen. Okay, right, thank you. Thank you for listening to me. Have a lovely week. Bye.